Alright, big apologies in advance, but this week's episode is going to have to be even more slapdash and half-arsed than usual. Really difficult to imagine, I know. I've actually spent the week in York consuming my own body weight in pasties and delicious ales instead of actually paying any attention to all the various tech shenanigans going on this week, of which there are many. And when I say many, I basically just mean, kill me now. I mean, this is how bad it is. I'm actually drinking coffee to try and get through this thing. And no, I haven't even put a little something extra special in there. It is just straight up caffeine. So yeah, if this is your first Techspert rodeo, first apologies, and secondly, please don't judge me on this absolute shower. Go back and watch one of the better episodes. I think episode 38 maybe wasn't absolutely god-awful. Anyway, loads and loads to do, so jingle me. Techspert Weekly. So the big launch this week was a pair of Pixels, the 6 and the 6 Pro, two premium Android 12 smartphones with the kind of arse that you just can't help but stare admiringly at. Both are powered by Google's fresh Tensor chipset, which takes security to a whole other level and features its very own TPU for machine learning tasks like speech-to-text translation, as well as an ISP for processing your pics super speedily. Boner time. The security and privacy features have taken a right old kick up the arse. They were already good before, but now you've got the fresh new security hub, which can basically show you any gaps in your smartphone's defenses. You can actually disable the smartphone camera and mic right there in the notification settings if you want to for all apps. And of course, as you would expect from Google, you've got 5 years of security updates for these things as well. So if the thought of top-notch security and privacy features is what really gets your undercrackers moist, well, look no further. These things will have you positively gushing. You've got a 6.4-inch OLED screen on the standard 6, pumping full HD plus visuals at your face holes, and that's upgraded to a 6.7-inch QHD plus effort on the Pro model. And while the standard Google Pixel 6 sports a screen that can drift between 60 and 90 Hz refresh depending on what you're up to, the snazzy Pro model sports a screen that can drop as low as 10 Hz for extreme energy efficiency, or boost all the way up to 120 Hz for supreme fluidity. God damn that word every time. Both sport stereo speakers, but no headphone jack and no micro SD support either, which sucks a bunch of monkey nuts. But still, you've got much bigger batteries here, and that camera tech is worthy of any tech nerd's spank bank. Both phones sport a 50 megapixel primary shooter with a sensor that's now 2.5 times bigger than the previous generation of flagship smartphone, plus got a bit of built-in optical image stabilization on there as well. And the second lens is a 12 megapixel ultra-wide angle shooter with anti-edge distortion tech. And as if that wasn't already pretty damn corking, the Pro model also finds space for a telephoto shooter with up to 4 times optical zoom. Once again, got that optical image stabilization on the go. And rather than an 8 megapixel front-facing camera, what you got here is an 11.1 megapixel selfie shooter with a slightly wider viewing angle as well. It can also record video at up to 4K resolution. Lardy frickin' dar. My full camera review and Pixel 6 review will be dropping on Monday, so my recommendation is to basically just start drinking heavily right now. You'll hopefully pass out for most of the weekend and wake up fresh as a daisy on Monday morning, ready for that hot Google action. Any actual medical practitioners may potentially not approve of that advice, but f*** 'em. So what else happened this week? Well, Apple also launched some new laptops on Monday, which literally borrowed the stupidest, most annoying feature of the iPhone, namely the ridiculously huge mustache notch. You've finally got a reasonable selection of ports though, while the M1 Pro and the M1 Max chipsets can apparently finally handle a bit of video editing without crapping their metaphorical pants. I'll be honest though, I spent Monday evening in a Viking rock bar rather than streaming Cooking Co, so you probably know more about all this guff than I do. Okay, if these things can actually handle video editing, then let's maybe give them a chance, see how much they cost. Jesus fuck. Yeah, not quite got enough there. Maybe I'll just get myself a new cleaning cloth for my phone instead. On Wednesday, Huawei spaffed out its latest smartwatch, the Watch GT3, which comes in 42 or 46mm flavours. It's premium tech all the way with a crisp AMOLED screen, built-in speaker and mic, super swift dual-band 5-system GNSS tracking, and the fresh TrueScene 5.0 Plus sensor for faster, more accurate heart rate measurement. Huawei is promising 1 or 2 weeks of battery life depending on whether you get the small or large version, and you've got a few new software tools chucked in there as well, including the healthy Living Shamrock, which rewards you for your general mental well-being by injecting Guinness straight into your veins. At least I really hope that that's what it does, because that would just be marvellous. And also this week, Motorola launched some fresh new smartphones. Don't everybody f***ing well faint at once. The Moto E20 is one of Motorola's most budget-friendly blowers, packing a 6.5-inch HD Plus screen, a 4000 mAh battery, 13 megapixel rear cam and Android 11 Go for just 80 quid here in Blighty, about the same as 25 bottles of White Star cider. Tough choice, I know. If you do manage to scrape out a bit more cash stuffed down the back of your mattress, well, you can upgrade to the Moto E30 or Moto E40. You'll get upgraded to a 48 megapixel primary cam and 5000 mAh battery, while that 6.5-inch HD Plus screen now boasts 90Hz refresh. And the E40 also packs in a bit more memory plus full-fat Android 11. And these blows will cost you 100 quid and 120 quid respectively. And look, these annoyingly fresh-faced young pricks are absolutely loving them, so they must be worth it. And also in the week that just won't bloody quit, Samsung also decided to take to the stage to announce the new bespoke editions of the Galaxy Z Flip 3 and the Galaxy Watch 4, where you can change up the design to suit your own weird and wonderful tastes. And there's also a special edition, a Maison Kitsune version of the Watch 4 and the Galaxy Buds 2, which means nothing to me, but it does sound decidedly French. Which is never really a good thing. And there's probably loads more shades, to be perfectly honest, that I've just completely blanked this past week, but that was all I basically managed to sniff out. And which means it's most definitely time for the part of the show that makes me want to just go have a nice long lie down in the middle of the M25. Not for any Extinction Rebellion shenanigans, but just in the hope that a lorry driver doesn't spot me and smushes my skull like a melon. It's viewer comments! Viewer comments! You know, before we even get started with this, I definitely need more coffee. Alright, let battle commence. So first up, Etienne says, the thing is, Nuki Brune isn't actually that strong, but by some weird Geordie alchemy, it does horrendous things to your head and guts, kind of similar to this coffee. I can't remember what the maximum recommended number of cups of coffee in a day is, but I'm going to go with 12? And yeah, Nuki Brown, you're 100% correct, mate. I swear all they've really done is mixed Jif with Bisto to give it that sort of murky brown colour. It really is like a napalm bomb for your innards. My kidneys definitely do not like. Also, apparently the random song that I was singing at the end of the last episode, We Had Joy, We Had Sun, yada yada, is Seasons in the Sun by Terry Jacks. And IJ Smith says that some may be more familiar with the Westlife version. And I can't say I'm particularly surprised that Westlife spaffed out their own version of that. Was there like any cheesy old pop song that Westlife didn't cover? I swear to God, if I had the long flowing locks and the cheeky smile instead of the slap head and the grimace, then I would basically just spend all my time ripping off old pop songs as well, making an absolute freaking mint. I do wonder though if those lads are still absolutely minted or if they're basically stacking shelves in Tesco's right now. And if they are stacking shelves in Tesco's, they're about as good at that as they are at writing original pop hits, because some of the shelves in my local Tesco's are bare as f***. I'm going to try to swear a little bit less in the rest of this video, mostly for my own sanity, because when I come to edit this, it's going to take me so much longer just to insert all the bloody bleeps. Next up, John Paul Graham says, what? No mention of William Shatner going into space? How about the Star Trek theme to open up your next Techspert Weekly? Yeah, it finally happens, Shats in space. And yeah, I would quite happily rip off the Star Trek tune to open one of these episodes, except of course YouTube would fire a copyright missile right up my arsehole, and basically the tiny amount of money that I would usually make from one of these shows would just be completely going into the pockets of some record producer instead. And apparently there I go again with the swearing. It really has been one of those friggin' weeks. Next up, Christian says, I think it's about time to swerve the hatred away from James Corden swiftly towards Keith Lemon. Those goddamn gambling ads give me aneurysms. Oh god, yeah, hard agree. Those adverts are just absolutely the worst. They are the AIDS of TV right now. And to be honest, if you're watching one of those, having an aneurysm pop in your brain would probably be sweet mercy. Next up, lo and behold, an actual tech question. Lucas says, what is your opinion about OnePlus merging Oxygen OS and Color OS? My first reaction was slightly concerned, got to admit. Hang on one sec, sorry. Because Oxygen OS is lovely and nice and clean and just really easy to get on with, whereas Color OS, you know, absolutely feature dense, which, you know, is nice. It's nice to have lots of bonus bits thrown in there, but it's a bit messy, you know, the settings and everything, not really as much of a fan in that regard. But 100% going to stay open-minded and see what they come up with, you know, see how much of a merging of the software actually happens. Be interesting to see. Next up, John says, you're marooned on a desert island. What 3 phones and hard liquor would you want to have with you? Good question. Not really sure why I'd need 3 phones. That does seem somewhat excessive, but one of them would probably be one of the Pixels, to be perfectly honest, because spoiler alert, I am rather enjoying them so far. Can't see any more than that ahead of my in-depth review. What I'd probably do is have a Pixel phone for all my actual smartphone shenanigans, and then I'd take a couple of these as well, so I could hoy them at coconuts to knock them out of trees, or just chuck them at, you know, wild boar to knock them unconscious. And as for the booze, well, I mean, it would have to be a barrel of rum, wouldn't it, to get in the old pirate spirit. Do like me a bit of Kraken, or any kind of sort of dark spiced rum. Arr, lovely. And next up, Engex says, I like them lights on your desk. What are they? That's a Philips Hue special. So I did a video on it about, oh Christ, about 2 years ago now, I think it was, which is kind of terrifying. But yeah, they've got a great variety of stuff, and you can like sync them up with your telly, all kinds of cool stuff, so definitely recommend them. Next up, War Boy Jaded Peanut Butter says, the best Knight Rider scene that spoiled it for me as an adult was the standoff between Kit and Evil Kit. Cue a game of chicken, Evil Kit swerved and went off the cliff, and then Evil Kit becomes a red Volkswagen Beetle. I think you might have potentially been smoking an awful lot of ganja back in the day, mate. Can't say I remember that particular episode, but then, you know, the state of my head after all this time is bad enough on the outside. Just imagine what it's like on the inside. But again, on classic telly, James says, I have Knight Rider, Airwolf, Street Hawk, and TJ Hooker all on DVD. Yeah, so Airwolf, that was basically Knight Rider with a helicopter, right? Street Hawk, that was Knight Rider with the motorbike. TJ Hooker, that was Schatz again, right? I never actually watched that one. I think he was like a cop or something in that one. So yeah, so just goes to show so many rip-offs back in the day. Although to be fair, like, did Knight Rider come first? I'm not really sure. Maybe Knight Rider was the one that was ripping off Street Hawk, who knows? Also back in time, Patrick says, Button Moon must be familiar to you then, being an 80s baby. God yes, it was so low rent. It was a thing of beauty. Literally just adults fannying about with old toys on a set made of junk that they'd found in some skip somewhere. And yet surprisingly compelling TV. Next up, Cabello, sorry if I mauled the pronunciation of that, says, greetings from South Africa, a country which gets as much sunshine in a month as the UK does in a year. Thanks for that, buddy. What has been your favourite smartphone to review in 2021? Oh, God, I mean, so many new phones this year, so that is a really tough choice indeed. And also, my brains are pretty much leaking out of my nostrils right now, so I'm just going to go ahead and say the Pixels again, because you've got not only fresh hardware like the Tensor chipset, you've also got that fresh Android 12 software as well, so there's a lot of great new stuff to cover, which I will do. My full review coming next week. Not sure I managed to pimp that enough just yet. MD Abdullah says, you're the perfect candidate for the next James Bond. The best thing is you don't even need to act. By that, do you mean that's just because I'm suave enough already, or because I know how to knock back a martini, whether it's shaken, stirred, hot, cold, whatever? It's very sweet of you to say so, but I mean, I'm a proper full-on wuss. You know, I certainly wouldn't be jumping off dams or, you know, bungee jumping out of planes or any of that stuff. If somebody came at me with a knife or something, I would literally just curl up in a ball and shit myself and cry, until hopefully they just kind of took pity on me or were just so disgusted that they just backed away slowly. Plus, like, my stomach can't even handle those spinny kids fairground rides anymore, so I certainly wouldn't be piloting any jets or doing that thing where you sort of clings onto the roof of a car as it's swerving about the place. Also on the subject of Bond as well, Ophel, again, sorry if I mauled the pronunciation, says, Timothy Dalton was my favourite Bond as well, but on the flip side, Dave reckons Dalton was crap. Which just goes to show that you can't please all of the people all of the time, or in the case of this show, any of the people ever. So anyway, I'm so badly out of time with all the crazy tech news and everything, but thank you to everyone who commented last week. It was great reading through all of those lovely questions, comments, etc, etc. Please do bang some more down below in these comments, and I will try and smash through as many of those as possible next week. And speaking of next week, what the f is next week? Well, I'm not sure if I already mentioned it or not, but the Pixel review embargo is lifting on Monday, so stay tuned for the full review of the standard Pixel 6, as well as an in-depth camera review and comparison between the Pixel 6 and the Pixel 6 Pro. And I'm also hoping to do a full comparison between the two and some other shenanigans next week, hopefully a tips and tricks guide as well. We've also got the Honor 50 officially launching in the UK on Tuesday I think it is. So hopefully should have you a tasty video of that as well. And then of course this time next week, more Techspert Weekly. I can't guarantee it's going to be less shit, but fingers crossed, eh? So that's it from me. A big thanks to everyone who's actually once again made it to the end of this absolute shower. And please do subscribe and ding that notifications bell to join the Spurtin army if you haven't already for more of this. Yeah. Have a cracker of a weekend. Love you lots. Bye.